quiet quitting is just quitting doing extra shit. And I'll be loud about it. There doesn't have to be a problem with just doing your job and then going home at the end of the day. This whole be loyal to your company thing is actual bullshit. If they tell you that they treat employees like family, you should run away because you are not family, you are an employee. And employees get to go home at 5 or whatever your clocking out time is. And employees get overtime. And employees get compensation for their work. Hey friends, welcome back. And just like I said at the end of the last episode, today we're going to talk about quiet quitting and why that phrase is bullshit and gaslighty. Let's just start there. Okay, great. What is quiet quitting? Quiet quitting is the phenomenon in which employees do their job and go home. They don't go above and beyond. They don't take on special projects that don't offer additional compensation. They don't ask for more responsibility or take unpaid, unofficial promotions with the promise of a real promotion later. And this is kind of throwing a wrench in typical workplaces because typical workplaces want you to try really hard and they want you to be scared of losing your job. And through that fear of losing your job, they will get extra labor from you. That looks like coming in early, staying late, working through lunches, or not taking lunches at all. It looks like not using up all your PTO, so you lose it at the end of the year if it doesn't roll over. This looks like using your personal phone for business without being compensated or receiving any stipend or a company phone. This looks like using your personal car for business travel and not being compensated or given a company car. And for a very long time, most people were just like, well, I want to do well at this job. I want to be celebrated here. I want the bosses to like me. I want to move up. So this is what it takes. Not anymore. People are doing what their job description entails and nothing more. And that doesn't mean that they're not working or that they're not working hard. They're working and doing what was promised. They are meeting the terms of their employment, and because they are not then doing additional unpaid work, the bosses have gotten upset. And this is known as quiet quitting. And I think that's a hilarious term because what the fuck are you talking about? Quiet quitting. How can you say somebody's quitting when they're showing up to work and working? You're just mad that there's not more. And it's so obvious as like a human person that the solution is if you want more work from a person, you give them more money. Like that's how this works, right? Theoretically, higher paying jobs are given to people with more skill and more responsibility and who do either more in a quantity way or like more detailed and more like work that requires more education. So like more in a quality way. And this is like the argument for exorbitant CEO salaries, right? I'm going to look up some salaries. We're going to go to the internet. Cool. The 100 highest paid US CEOs from 2022. Oh, wow. Okay, the number one CEO last year was Peloton's CEO. And he made $168 million. What? $168 million. And then the CEO pay ratio, which is the basically how many times more money the CEO makes than the lowest paid employee, is a factor of almost 2,300 times more money than the lowest paid employee at Peloton makes. Awesome. The CEO of Apple made just shy of $100 million last year. The CEO of American International Group, AIG, got a 244% increase in pay last year and made $75 million. Can you fathom any amount of labor that seems like a normal compensation for? Because I think that's really wild. Personally, Adobe, 31 million. Isn't it weird that 31 million seems more reasonable after this? Where'd Disney go? Ooh, Warner Brothers. Interesting. Warner Brothers took an 84% pay cut and still made $40 million. Like, what even? What even the hell is this? No. Is that their salaries? Bro, I think that is their salaries. I was concerned maybe that's like the total revenue of the company, but no, I think it's salaries. Isn't this bananas? I think it's kind of bananas. I'm going to come back so that I don't just get lost in the internet there. Like, are they going above and beyond their responsibilities to like get all that money? Like, are the CEOs quiet quitting? Because I feel like they do whatever they want and then go home and like go play golf, you know? So are they quiet quitting? Like, should we be mad at them? Maybe. Interesting. So what quiet quitting really is a gaslighting and shaming tactic that the corporate overlords are using to extract more labor from the working class. Like, that's literally what it is. It's like, hey, you don't seem to really be showing up and prioritizing the company. This actually literally happened at my last job. It's so full of stories I can tell on my anti-capitalist podcast. So what had happened was my manager, like my direct manager supervisor who hired me in, went down from full-time to part-time. She was working, I think, like 3 days a week and had a like salary reduction that made sense for the reduction in her workload. And she did this so that she could spend more time with her baby. Like, she had a child and then she was like, I want to go part-time so that I can spend more time with my kid. Reasonable, right? I feel like that's reasonable. Do you feel like that's reasonable? We're probably in agreement if you're here hanging out with me. After, I don't know, 6 months of this, her boss, a VP, was like, so when are you coming back full time? And she said, I'm not coming back full time. This is a permanent thing. I want to spend more time with my child. And at the same time, she was finding out that she had extreme allergies to garden soil. And we were a greenhouse and we sold plants. I feel like that was a stress-related allergy, but we don't have to go into that. So he's like, it just seems like you're not prioritizing the company. Duh. My priority is me. If I drop dead, that company is going to have a new job description out to replace me on Monday. Why would I put my whole life, and in this case, like my child, my family, my desires of what I want my family to like look like and how much time I want to spend with my family, why would that ever come second to a job? And the fact is that for some people, they really make their job their whole life. Like, that VP is obsessed with his job. And that's why he's a terrible manager, because he doesn't understand that his employees are humans. This is where quiet quitting becomes like a problem to bosses. I know that I've shared this story before, but here we go. Here we go again. It's the first time since I went on YouTube that I'm going to share this story. Also, if you're just a podcast listener, you should check out my YouTube. And if you found me on YouTube, this is also a podcast, and there's a hell of a backlog for you to catch up on if you like my vibe. So we're going to talk about my manager and the fact that for the first 6 months of his job, I was like babysitting him because I wanted him to succeed. And also, I'm a people pleaser and did not realize that I was shooting myself right in the foot. Multiple times. Just fuck my feet. Just destroy them. Saw them off with a saw. This is now Saw. Saw 17. Corporate. Just Jigsaw shows up and he's like, welcome to the Microsoft Teams call, right? You get a little do, 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 do. But then it's like Jigsaw and he's like, you're gonna have to saw off your own foot if you ever want a promotion. Like, that's what it feels like to be alive in America right now. Anyway, I digress. So I'm taking care of this man, right? he says something in a meeting and I'm like, oh, well, we don't do that because we tried it before and it didn't work with our payment processing app. And so we tabled that. And he would come up with like an idea that was totally off brand. And I'm like, that's not really in line with our brand guidelines. Here's the brand guidelines. You should familiarize yourself with them. And I just spent a lot of time jumping in front of dodgeballs for this dude who didn't bother to learn anything about our products or brands from my perspective as our content manager who developed our brands. After 6 months, I was like, he should know. He should know things by now. That was enough time for him to learn stuff. So I stopped babysitting him. And around this time, we also were kerplunked right into a global pandemic. So it's like March 2020. He's been here 6-ish months. I take off the training wheels and I'm like, go be free, manager man. Go handle your shit. I'm tired. And this does not go well for me. I'm labeled insubordinate. He yelled at me on the phone and was like, what the hell is going on? He was just not happy with me and like my newfound boundaries. And I kind of see his point because it looked like I was very open and accommodating. Shout out to our accommodations episode, last episode. And then I just sort of like slammed the door in his face. What would have been kinder to both of us was for me to come in with boundaries. Like, no, that is, here you go. I'm just going to let you make a fool of yourself, I guess. Like, why was it my job? Why did I take it upon myself to prevent him from looking foolish when he didn't know anything about our brands? Whatever. Water under the bridge, right? That's why I keep talking about it. I'm totally over it. But he got mad, is the point. Is that when I stopped making allowances for him and I stopped saying yes to like everything he asked me, or I stopped being the most patient explainer of things to him, he thought I was being bitchy and bad at my job and rude. And I could see that from his perspective. I probably did suddenly get bitchy in that context. But what I was doing was, I guess, quiet quitting. I was like, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my job damn good. I'm going to manage my team and I'm not going to do more for you. Like, I'm already doing a lot. And he was already telling me, like, don't get your hopes up for a raise. I know that you want this promotion, but there's a pandemic. So now you can't get that promotion because we're in a holding pattern. And like, sure, business changes with global paninis. But to have been like setting me up on a trajectory of promotion and stuff, like I now had a direct hire under me. I was managing an intern. I was doing the unpaid promotion. And then when it came time to make the promotion official, there were several reasons why that couldn't happen. Thus, I quat. That is how my brain demanded I pronounce that. But it's not quiet quitting. It's just quitting doing extra shit. And I'll be loud about it. There doesn't have to be a problem with just doing your job and then going home at the end of the day. This whole be loyal to your company thing is actual bullshit. If they tell you that they treat employees like family, you should run away. Because you are not family, you are an employee. And employees get to go home at 5 or whatever your clocking out time is. And employees get overtime. And employees get compensation for their work. No, do not help your boss move for a pizza. Remember when we used to do that? Remember in college when you helped your buddies switch apartments or dorm rooms or whatever, and then they'd buy you a pizza and a beer? And that was the adequate compensation for that labor when you are 21 and everybody lives on campus. That's not the adequate compensation when you're 30 and your friend's old apartment and new apartment are like a 2-hour drive. If I'm helping you move in that new level of labor and also that new level of my life where I have way more shit going on than like a term paper that I want to blow off anyway. So like, sure, man, I'll help you move. You could use my car for a pizza. No, now like I demand $500 for this. This is not a pizza ordeal anymore. And it's the same thing. And it's the same pizza, actually, also. Like, you will go above and beyond, and then they're like, we're going to throw a pizza party for employee appreciation. Get fucked. Pay me. Pay me. If you want me to do more than you hired me to do, then you're going to have to pay me more than you hired me at. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, my guy. Like, it's trickle down economics at this point. I'm going to need your bullshit to trickle down to me if you also want, like, trickle down labor. No. Fuck you, pay me. The end. How this relates to creativity, since we're in the Neurodivergent Creative Podcast, also neurodivergent people might not get this, right? Like, we're not always great at the subtext. So I'm going to do a minute on neurodivergence, and then I'm going to do a minute on creativity. And by a minute, I mean whenever I stop talking, because I have ADHD and I'm uncontrollable. Neurodivergent people, especially autistics, we have trouble with subtext. So your boss might say, hey, could you stay late today just to finish this thing up? And you're like, that makes sense. There's a one-time project that has a one-time extra labor, and I do want to finish this up today. So you'll stay and stay late, not knowing that now your boss thinks they have permission to make you stay late every single day of your life. You're like, I never agreed to that. And they said, yeah, you kind of did. You stayed late that one time. You got to go in with like iron boundaries day one, because you're not their family, you're their employee, and they will exploit you. Sorry. It just sucks. It sucks, and I hate it. And I hate that they take advantage of people who like don't understand the layers of this. Because it's not just one night. It's not just, can you come in early just this once on Monday? Or like, can you come in on your day off just this once? We don't have anybody. Once you have established yourself in your boss's eyes or your company's eyes as somebody who will do extra work without needing to be compensated, they're like, hey, there's some free shit over there. Like, no, you are not a rummage sale. You are not an amazing bargain that they found in a pile of stuff. You are a person. So that's the neurodivergent side. Here's the creative side. You are a person with your own life and hobbies and interests and needs and desires. You need to rest. You need to have fun and play. And you need to be creative. We all need to be creative. Creativity is an inherent part of humanity. You can't make art at the end of the day when your boss was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to stay late again tonight. Sorry. I had a client of mine. We had a standing appointment, like one-on-one life coaching, Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Okay, she has a full-time job, like a 9 to 5. 5:30 p.m. That gave her enough time to end her day, go pee, eat a quick dinner, and be on our call at 5:30. Her boss started scheduling a mandatory like 6 p.m. meeting on Wednesdays for no reason other than just to fuck with my client. And my client now needs to reschedule that. And I just want so much to be like, can you just go in and shit on her desk? Because that's inappropriate. Also, my client routinely is doing like 60 to 80 hour work weeks without the additional compensation of that. If your job looks like that, I really strongly advise you to quit like fuck and find a different one. And I know that that's not always like immediately possible. Sometimes you're like, well, I have a child and medical needs, and I get that for you. I was very privileged to not have a child, so I could just be like, I'm out. Peace. Deuces. And just trust fall on myself and be like, I'm going to figure this thing out and I'm going to start my own business, which I have done. And I am like, hashtag thriving. I'm also hashtag winging it sometimes, but like overall, the growth is there. I will continue to grow and I will continue to support myself and be fine and have my back because I recognize that I don't have a place in the corporate world because I can't be fighting those battles every single day and then also do my best work. Like if I'm going to do my best work in this world, I need people not trying to extract labor out of me like juice. Also, my boss literally said that on our last call that I was on. He was like, it's Caitlin's last week, so we're going to squeeze all the content we can out. And it was a Teams meeting and my camera was off. And I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then the goodbye email was like, Caitlin wrote a lot of things and contributed to our company. We will miss Caitlin. And I'm like, it's good to know that you know me in any kind of meaningful way beyond I make stuff for you. Okay, that is my roundabout way of saying if your job treats you shitty, you're allowed to treat it shitty back. Not like shitty, but you are allowed to do the bare minimum. I would like us to reclaim the bare minimum, okay? The bare minimum is not a bad thing. The bare minimum is a beautiful thing that you should protect. What's the bare minimum amount of rest that you need? Protect it with your life. What is the bare minimum amount of time that you need for your hobbies during the week? Protect it with your life. What is the bare minimum number of hugs you want in a day? Ask for them. Protect it with your life. Bare minimum water. Bare minimum, I drink 2 of these big ass cups of water a day. That's like 50 ounces of water. That's my bare minimum. If I drink that much, I'm not dehydrated. Hooray, I'm allowed to drink more. You're allowed to work more if you get paid overtime. Don't work for free unless you're volunteering, which is different than working for free. That's choosing to volunteer is different than your boss just making you work twice as hard because they don't want to hire somebody else or pay you. That's fucked up. And you're allowed to be like, hey, that's fucked up. This thing right here, fucked up. I'm not doing it anymore. Goodbye. See you later. Ta-ta. Have a great day. So on that note, quit your job, stay hydrated, stay creative, and I love you.